All right, we're live. Afternoon edition.
Yeah, good old getting this the professional side of us right
This
now.
is, yeah, this is actually during office hours here.
Yeah,
We're doing our job.
during the day, not at 10 p.m. at night this time.
Exactly. Not a lackluster. And officially I have a desk now. I don't have to use like a dinner tray or anything anymore.
Yeah.
So that's nice, even though it's very close quarters in here. So I got my
Getting more professional by the day.
exactly. Shit, before you know it, we'll have our own studio. And we'll look back at this and just remember. We look back on it fondly. All right, so we did our AFC predictions last week. I had the Bills going to the Super Bowl. You had the Steelers going to the Super Bowl, and now this week we will be doing the. He's in Yinzer mode, as he said, as he keyed up last week, or last episode. And but before we get to the NFC ones, we got some bits of news. The great Bill Belichick has finally rode into the sunset, at least in New England. They have mutual parting ways between him and Bob Kraft. And he is now, I think they said New England is the front runner to hire him. Or not Atlanta is the front runner to hire him. They just bring him back.
They're like, JJ,
it's like that.
Come back.
It's like Homer Simpson's dad, like the thing where he walks, picks up his hat, puts it back, puts the hat back on, walks right back out the door. But Atlanta, that's what I've heard. He wants to stay on the East Coast, apparently. A lot of national reporters have been saying the Commanders are a front runner, but there is no interest from the Commanders, and they just hired. Yeah. They did Adam Peters, who is a highly sought-after assistant GM in San Francisco. It's big news because he was denying interviews for the past few years and actually said no to teams this year and took the interview with Washington. So I think that kind of shows you what the perspective is on the Commanders franchise going forward. And for the first time, it's not a hellscape.
Atlanta's is a weird one for Belichick, though. I don't know why. They got some talent down there. They got a good defense, good secondary, and some weapons on offense. They just haven't been able to really use them and have them grow into what they were expected to be with Kyle Pitts and Drake London. I mean, Bijan's definitely was a bright spot on the team this year. But you don't have a quarterback.
Yeah, the underrated part about Atlanta is that they do not have a quarterback. They need to figure that out. I could see them trading up this year to try and get somebody like a Jaden Daniels or something that I feel like would, if he ends up working out, could fit very well into that offense and what they're trying to do. But their defense is actually really good. Their defense this year was more than serviceable. They have a pretty decent secondary. Grady Jarrett's still playing at a very high level. So yeah, I mean that's something that could be appealing to one Mr. Belichick. And I think Arthur Blank is desperate to win. He's an older owner, and I think he would be very willing to give over the keys to BB and, just kind of say, have at it.
Yeah. Another thing, there's a possibility if a team like Buffalo or Philly lose this weekend, why not go out there and be like, hey, let's get Bill. He's better than our head coaches.
Yeah, I don't know if Philly's moving on from. I could see Buffalo if they have another clunker moving on from McDermott. But if they did, I have a feeling that they would go in-house. I think Joe Brady, honestly, their offensive coordinator right now that took over in the middle of the year, he's done really well, I guess, as far as using, playing to the Bills' strengths. And not forcing things that I felt like that's what they were doing with Dorsey. And but yeah, I mean I could Philly. I don't see them moving on from Sirianni. I mean this is a catastrophic meltdown that the Eagles are having right now. Maybe one of the worst that we've seen in the past 10 years or so. I mean they went from.
If they lose this weekend, it is a collapse of all collapses. It's like the.
I think they are.
Yeah,
I think they're
gonna lose.
They're one of the worst teams in the NFL, right? Like the past 6 weeks, they've been one of the worst.
Yeah.
Like everybody keeps saying, that this could be a get right game for them. It's like they played New York twice. I don't know why I keep wanting to say New England.
Yeah.
They played New York twice, and they played Arizona. Those are two of the worst teams in the league, and you lost 2 out of 3 of those games. 2 of them were at home. They won the one in New York or in Philly, but
you barely beat them.
But they barely won that one. Yeah. And, so, I mean, things are not good there. I think their offense is very bland. So, I mean, I could see Jeffrey Lurie is not exactly the owner of the Eagles. He's not a knee-jerk guy. I think he would at least give Sirianni another year to kind of right the ship, especially because they're coming off of a Super Bowl run. And the only reason he really fired Doug Peterson was because it was 3 years after the Super Bowl, and they were progressively getting worse every season. So
yeah, but it's like you want to win, and you can't.
You do want to win, but you don't want to be.
He didn't get you over the hump last year. It seems like it's running a little stale this year, late into the season. His message running a little stale.
I think the biggest thing is just lack of creativity. And last year you had the creativity and the run game to keep Jalen Hurts, I guess, useful. I don't know what the better word for it would be. Because right now he's not useful. Right now he is when he rolls out, I remember last year it was frustrating, playing against them. And also I just don't like the Eagles. And it was just frustrating to watch him roll out and somehow he would just find somebody downfield. And this year it feels like he is doing those same rollouts and he's just throwing it out of bounds. And he's not, A.J. Brown's been very frustrated this year. And there's no excuse, really. They have one of the best offensive lines in the NFL, and he seems to be seeing ghosts almost. He's bailing from the pocket very fast. He's not trusting himself. He's not trusting his team. And that's something that's alarming, especially because you just paid him like he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Yeah, man. I mean, there's a lot of question marks around there. I think they definitely get another year to get it right, but I don't see. I guess this can kind of segue into our picks. I do not see them going into Tampa and winning that game.
Yeah, no.
That's it. I think the Bucs.
Oh, you can finish.
No, I think the Bucs defense will have a similar day to what they did to him when they played in the playoffs a few years ago.
Yeah. See, the thing about Philly is, I think losing those two, the OC and DC last year, I think they were probably the better coaches out of the three. Those two are probably better than Sirianni. And as you can see, it's kind of lost on the offensive and defensive side right now. Mostly the defensive side. The defensive side has been kind of horrendous all year besides that front four. But, and you saw, the Cardinals with Jonathan Gannon was they were in a lot of games, and when they got Tyler back, they started winning more games. So I think they'll be pretty good. And Shane Steichen and with the Colts had a fantastic year. Had them competing when they lost their first round quarterback early in the season. So
yeah, they both play well. And honestly, if you're looking at it from a draft point of view, I feel like letting Kyler come back was the worst thing to do because now he blew up there. I mean, I guess they're still picking 4th overall, but. He was one of those guys. I think there was probably a lot of Arizona fans who were like, why are we winning this game against the Eagles? But yeah, I mean, Jonathan Gannon, for as much as everybody clowned him for how dumb he looked in the preseason when he was explosive or whatever. And, he's really kind of turned out to – remember the one where he was to work to – But, he really turned out to – get those guys motivated. They were in every single game. I don't even remember early in the year when that was one of your first upset picks was when they beat the brakes off of the Cowboys. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, him and, like you said, Shane Steichen was really able to get things going in Indianapolis and kind of made did what he had to do to get the most out of Gardner Minshew. And, both of those teams are looking up. But, I'm not a fan of Sirianni and how he kind of conducts himself sometimes. And I think that's honestly what is causing all of this strife.
The issues.
Is I think when things are going badly, that kind of personality or whatever, it doesn't really bring in a lot of accountability. Although players have said that he's done a lot to kind of take the bullets for them. But yeah, I mean, you see a lot of this finger pointing and stuff, and it's not good.
No.
So
that's why it's a possibility. Fired Brendan Bill.
Yeah.
But one last thing about Bill before we move on to the NFC side of the playoffs. I could really see him putting it out there because one of his mentors, Parcells, worked there a while. Bill was a DC there, and they won a couple bowls. New York Giants signed Bill Belichick to be their coach.
And they fired Dayball?
Yeah.
Wow. That would be wild.
Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you?
Because Dayball's, I think, a decent coach. He was able to. I mean, he won
Dayball
games with Tommy DeVito.
I know Dayball's a decent coach, but bring him to Belichick. That's a great coach. Dayball will get another job. And, he was not handling the Daniel Jones situation well early in the year. He was screaming at people on the benches and all. Yeah. He seemed a little.
He does have a tendency to just yell. Yeah, just scream at the players as they're coming off the field. Sometimes coming
right
a
in their
hot.
face. Tyrod Taylor, when he didn't convert on 4th and 2 or
and he was
3rd and 2 with 15 seconds left, and Dayball runs him down and is in his face like, "What the hell are you doing out here?"
Yeah.
But that's my.
Can you still see me?
Prediction. Yeah, I can still see you.
Okay. Sorry, I had
that's
a pop
my pre-prediction. Just because most teams
that's
are
a
going to
wild
look at their coach and be like, "Is Belichick better than our coach we have right now?" And most teams are going to be like, "Yes, Belichick's better than the coach we have right now."
Yeah, it's interesting.
That's not a big time move.
Yeah, I think he wants to stay local, or not local.
Exactly.
He wants to stay on the East Coast. The Chargers are actually kind of looking. The Chargers are not looking as appealing, I don't think, as they once did.
Yeah,
because their cap situation is kind of a mess, and they're gonna have to probably cut a few guys and restructure a few guys. And also,
and they got a lot of
I heard
old vets.
Yeah, and I mean Justin Herbert obviously is a huge positive, but I heard a lot of people talking about if you're a coach and you're looking at the Chargers, what is appealing about that other than obviously, like I said, Justin Herbert and the location, but it's they have literally no fans. That's the weirdest thing to me is even when they moved there, it was they didn't have a fan base there. I mean, every single game they play is a road game. They never have any fans. And I feel as a coach, especially someone like Belichick, I feel going in there, you'd be this sucks. And maybe you could look at it as a program where you can kind of build it up, but the Rams won the Super Bowl out there, and they still don't have that many fans.
Yeah, but LA is one of those fair weather crowds where when you're winning, they're gonna be there. Especially for football. Basketball, they're always gonna pump up the stadium. Baseball, they're always gonna have people in the stadium. But since it's a newer team, I feel you gotta win to earn the fans a little bit, because I guess the Rams were there in the 90s, not the 90s, but they were in the sometime 80s, 70s, one of those times they were in LA. So
yeah, but they moved from LA because they didn't have any fans. That's that was the bit and then they moved back, and if you remember when they were in the Rose Bowl, when they were playing at the Rose Bowl, they weren't getting any fans there either. It was they would sell out the games or whatever, but it would all be away fans, and they still have that problem. And I said, even after that Super Bowl, they didn't care. Have you seen their Super Bowl parade?
No,
their Super Bowl parade was a joke. I don't know. To me, that's just so. That's just so blown to me. I would just be this is just dumb. What are we even playing for? So, I think Atlanta. I think he goes to Atlanta. There's a lot of upside there.
Atlanta. I don't like Atlanta. I mean, it's an easy division.
Or Tennessee. Who knows?
Tennessee would be wild.
No,
Tennessee got nothing
takes over
going for it, though. They got absolutely nothing going for it.
Yeah, they're in a rough spot. Firing Vrabel, like we talked about, was a huge mistake, and hopefully the Commanders will hop on him. All right, so we move on to the NFC playoff picture.
Yeah, we can.
Let's do it. No, you're good. All right, so I did the. I have the Bucks winning over the Eagles. Who's your pick for that one?
I'm gonna just pull up your board real quick. Is this me or you? This is the right one. Oh, they reset. Let me just fill this in real quick on the AFC side for you.
All right, cool.
No,
I have that right.
Good. There we go. All right, so I'll let you run down the list of games. So Tampa Bay, you said it's 7.
So we got Tampa Bay winning that one. We got the game that I am most looking forward to this weekend, the Rams and the Lions. The return of Matty Stafford to Detroit for the first time. I think that game is going to be a ruckus environment. I can't wait to see the reaction to him when he first comes out. I feel like it's going to be one of those things where he first comes out, they'll give him his round of applause, and then right after that, it'll be he plays for the other team. I do, however, feel like I know it's sadistic to say this for Detroit fans, but I feel like Matt Stafford and the Rams are going to go in there and take care of business. I think they get this thing done. They know what they're doing in the playoffs. We've seen this kind of thing before where you have a team that's not necessarily the better team, but the team that is more experienced in the playoffs, and they find a way to get it done. So I got the Rams actually beating Detroit in a close game. I think it's won by a field goal at the very end. I'm going to go 31-28 Rams in that game.
You got the Rams winning.
Boom. I got the Rams beating the Lions, yeah. And then Packers, Cowboys. This is, I think the Packers get it done. I think the Packers go in there. I think they go in there. They are a young team. They got nothing to lose. And this reminds me, it's not obviously exactly like it, but when Rodgers won his Super Bowl back in 2010, and that team went in as a wild card team, they kind of barely made it. They played a really good Eagles team that was riding high with Michael Vick, and they beat them. And it was shocking. Everybody couldn't believe it. And it was actually the start of the Rodgers era. And I could see that happening this time with Jordan Love, because I really like watching him. I'm really happy he's kind of coming to. He throws, I think, the prettiest ball in the league. It just jumps out of his hand. And I think the Cowboys are kind of high on themselves right now. They had trouble in that first half against the Commanders last week, against a team that had no reason to win. And they were playing with a bunch of scrubs. So I think the Packers, they've been playing, playoff football now for the past few weeks because they've been fighting to get in. And I think they beat the Cowboys.
There it is. Now your next round.
Am I just doing my whole thing right here?
Yeah, just do the whole thing because it will be easier that way. And then I'll flip to mine and I'll do my whole thing.
All right, cool. All right, so we'll go with our higher seed here. We'll go to the Packers going into San Francisco, where it's really Santa Barbara, right? Because that's where the stadium is, or San Jose, wherever. But this one, they're not having as much luck. I think this is where the luck runs out. San Francisco does not have the choke gene like Green Bay does, or like Dallas does. So I think they get that one done fairly easily. And then we have Rams Buccaneers. I think the Rams take this one. I think they're the better team. And that's pretty much it. So Rams go in there, second time in 3 years that they'd go into Tampa Bay and beat them. And then
now we got a rematch in there.
Yeah, we got the Battle of California, Battle LA. You ever seen that movie?
No. This is a rematch from a couple years back, though.
It is.
Just it was in,
And
LA.
I have
San Fran.
the other team winning this one. I have San Francisco taking this. And then we got a San Francisco
and
Buffalo, which I'm guessing was some people's preseason Super Bowl pick. Not too
Probably.
far-fetched. I have the Buffalo Bills winning this. I have the Bills as the Super Bowl champions.
He says the Bills get there first.
They get it. They finally reach it. Because you know why? It feels like they're kind of teetering, right? They kind of remind me of like a Giants team that would win the Super Bowl, where they're teetering and people are like, they I don't know if they have what it takes. And then somehow, some way, they just like the defense is good enough. Josh Allen plays like out of his mind, and they find a way to get it done. And although I want the Ravens, I'm pulling for the Ravens, and I do think the Ravens have what it takes, but I just think the Bills are going to have kind of ride the magic a little bit.
Buffalo to win the bowl on Andy's side of things. I think I'm going to keep it mostly the same. When it comes to my NFC side, let me pull this up real quick. Fill this out a little bit. On the AFC, we all know Steeler all the way to the bowl. But
are you changing this out?
What? Oh yeah.
Are you changing out the screen? Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
The screen share. We're still working on this is the casual side rearing its ugly head.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've newly integrated things into the show now. Pretty impressive.
Exactly, yeah. Next week there'll be fireworks.
We'll have pyro, smoke, everything. It just smells.
And they're like, the chair's on fire. Like I'm talking, and there's just like a flame behind me. You know, it's just like, oh god!
The whole room erupts, and we're just sitting in here still. Yeah, I mean,
it's like I don't even realize it. Yeah, the fire alarm's like,
and you're just talking. You're just like, so Philly's gonna choke.
All right, your NFC
versus Tampa Bay. Philly versus Tampa Bay. I've rode high with Tampa Bay all season long. They ended up making the playoffs, but I'm gonna switch it up. I know there ain't really nothing pushing in Philly's direction right now. They're on a big slump, but I think they might be able to break out of it here. I don't think it's going to be a long playoff run, but I just don't think Tampa Bay has a good enough team to really compete with Philly. Even though the Giants just beat them, I think they'll somehow figure it out and somehow probably squeak by against Tampa Bay 27-24. Just they got more talent, and I think talent will bail them out in that game. Over here, the return of Stafford to Detroit, one of the best storylines going on in this first weekend of playoff football. I'm going to have to take Matt Stafford. I think he's going to do Detroit dirty, his former hometown, put him in the dirt. I mean, Detroit's defense is a little suspect all the time, sometimes. So I think Matt Stafford will be able to utilize those weapons in Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua and be able to get out of here like 31-27 in a decent shootout. And I'm going to go all wild card here, too. I got the Dallas Cowboys also choking. We haven't had 7 seeds win ever before. In my version, the first time in history 2 7 seeds will win on wild card weekend. None have ever won before. I think they're 0-6 since the new format. So the 7 seeds
about to be 2-6.
Yeah, the 7 seeds are due, so bat them. Easy one. The 49ers are going to mop the floor with the Green Bay Packers. They always seem to. Matt LaFleur just can't get past Shanahan, and it doesn't look like he will do it again this year. I mean, this team is just an all-star team, so why not just ride them to the NFC Championship game? And I also am going to have a rematch from a couple of years ago because Philly, they're slumping, haven't looked good, lost I think it was 5 of their last 6, right? Was it 6 of the
Mm-hmm.
last 7?
It all
They
started with
lost a
that
lot.
absolute just getting absolutely obliterated by San Francisco.
Yeah, they sent them into a collapse, and they will lose in the NFC divisional round to the Rams. They've been one of the hottest teams in football for a while now. Since Matt Stafford has returned, they've been just fantastic. And this is where I'm going to shock you. I think the Rams are going to go into San Francisco. They always play San Francisco tough. Something about the Rams and San Francisco, they're in a tough game all the time. There's never really too many blowouts in this rivalry, even earlier in this year when the Rams played the 49ers healthy and all. I think they might have been missing Cooper Kupp, but don't quote me on that. They were still trying to close game, only lost by it was within 10 points. And I think they're going to get it done here. I think somehow Brock Purdy's going to mess it up late in this game. It's going to be a close one. We haven't seen Brock Purdy be able to really do much in those closer games and big situations. So I'm going to go with the Rams versus the Steelers. Oh, only if I could remember what Super Bowl number it is. I think it's like Super Bowl 11 rematch or Super Bowl 13. Something dumb.
Yeah. An OG
and
matchup.
We beat them earlier this year. We'll beat them again. The Steelers win the bowl because we're Yins are proud right now. This is gonna be one of the. It's been a wild season. I don't think it's gonna change in the playoffs, and we're gonna get a 7 seed and a 6 seed in the bowl for probably for the first time ever.
That'd be wild. Is it Mason Rudolph led, or is it gonna be Kenny Pickett, like you said?
It's going to be Kenny P after Mason comes out and throws 2 picks, first 2 drives.
And I heard some kind of rumor that they're talking about that Bills-Steelers game, playing it in Cleveland.
Oh, why?
Because of the weather. I heard there's like a contingency plan to play it in Cleveland. But it's like, if I was a Buffalo fan, dude, I'd be like, no, we got to play this in Buffalo. Like, you can't take us out of the weather. The weather's our biggest ally here.
Nah, dog, I'm telling you, the weather ain't their ally. Usually, bad weather leads to bad teams staying more in the game.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's kind of what happened with Miami. Because Miami kind of kept it close last year with Skylar Thompson.
Exactly. Bad weather always lends itself to the worst team. And I'm sorry, but the Steelers are definitely not as good as the Bills, even though I doubt them winning. But especially without TJ Watt. But having that weather will help because it slows people down.
Is there a chance he comes back in the playoffs at all?
I think it would be championship round or Super Bowl.
I guess we'll see him in the Super Bowl. Oh, also, speaking of injuries, Mark Andrews was cleared to return to practice for the Ravens. So that could be a very big development for that team. If they are able to get him and Likely going in that offense, that's just another.
Or it crashes
another
and
piece.
burns the first week when he comes back. They're trying to force it to him too much, and it doesn't work out, and then they're in a 17-0 hole.
You never know. That'd be great. Yeah, or Tyler Huntley leads the way. Lamar sprains his ankle in the first play. Tyler Huntley is
due for the sprained ankle.
And Tyler Huntley comes in and leads them to the promised land. All right. Glory. Anything else we want to add? I think we could end this thing perfectly at 30 minutes.
Yeah, I think we did a solid job. We covered everything we wanted to cover. So we got our Buffalo beating the Niners in the bowl. I got the Steelers beating the Rams in the bowl. 2 completely different directions: a 1 and 2 seed, a 7 and 6 seed.
We shall see what happens. It'll be it's an interesting. Very excited for this weekend. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to that Rams-Lions matchup, and and we'll be back on Tuesday. And maybe we'll do some mock drafts. I was trying to think of, like, what are we going to cover after the season's over? And it's like, I guess we can do mock draft stuff. Baseball stuff comes back into play. And we'll figure it out, I guess.
We'll do it.
All right, well, then until
basketball.
Exactly. I'm big basketball, so, you know, I mean, I know you're not. That's why I don't really bring it up, because I know you're not a big basketball guy. But,
no.
Yeah, I guess until next time, we'll see you guys on Magic Palm. He's Cole Dennis.
Get those terrible towels going on Sunday.
Yeah. Yeehaw. And we're the Professional Casual Fans.
Peace.